Thank you again for being with us today. Welcome to the Get Copilot Ready briefing session. My name is Catherine Kwan, and I'm with the marketing team here at ProServeIT. And joining me today is our special guest, Jamie McMahon, the CTO of ProServeIT. We have a really great session ahead. And typically how we've been running these sessions is that we would dive right into the content and then also see Copilot in action. But for today, it will be a little different as I wanted to invite Jamie to showcase the art of the possible with AI. So with that, I will let Jamie kick us off.
That's right. Thank you, Catherine. So I think it's been quite some time since all of us have been on this AI journey or whatever other way we want to coin that kind of phrase. And I think for many of us, we're still in that kind of phase where we are trying to understand what the value proposition for this, especially when it comes to Copilot. And I've heard that a lot where it's, where do I start? What's that first step that I do? I really want to invest in Copilot for this. And I think part of that perhaps is fair, although I do think there's a lot of value in it. And Catherine's really going to talk about the Copilot value proposition and what we can look forward to there and maybe some insight into how that can make a difference inside your business. But what I find helpful sometimes is understanding what's the next step, right? Because if we think of this as a journey, we really want to understand maybe not what the destination is, perhaps too early to understand what the destination is, but we can certainly think through what that next step is. And for many, I think that next step is thinking through, well, how do we leverage AI either with Copilot or a little bit beyond Copilot inside of our business to actually make an actionable difference, whether that's through automation, through actionable insights, through whatever the case might be. So I figured what might be helpful is actually seeing, again, because I think AI is still very much pie in the sky. And sometimes we just need to see a few things to connect the dots and understand what that course might look like. So I will dive right in and do a little bit of a micro demo here. Again, for context, the way that I think about this is if this is a linear journey that probably has many branching forks in the road, so to speak, Copilot is likely going to be many organizations, if not most organizations' first step. But I find that really rapidly after people begin to think about, what do I do next? What do I do next here? What I have up here is Azure AI Foundry. So it's an element that Microsoft provides that really dives in. And it allows you to do lots of things that I think people have thought about that we can conceptualize, but might not be as clear or crisp in terms of what are the capabilities. So I'll walk you through a couple of things. For example, we've got a customer that does identification checking. They're actually partner with one of the larger rideshare organizations. And one of the challenges they have is how do we validate a driver is actually A, who they say they are, and B, that they have a valid driver's license and are okay to participate in our rideshare platform. And as you can see here, again, I'm doing this a little bit quick, and John, I appreciate the comment there around this might be very simple, but I'm confused the difference between ChatGPT and Copilot. Perhaps maybe I'll step back really quickly before stepping forward. ChatGPT and Copilot in some instances are synonymous in the sense where Copilot is the Microsoft product that they have brought to market that performs in a similar capacity to ChatGPT, albeit really focused inside your business. It does have the ability to grab information and be augmented from information on the web, ChatGPT. But what Copilot excels at is taking that information and augmenting it with information that sits inside your business. Think about your emails, your team's data, all of those types of things. So the capabilities that you have, the requests that you can make of ChatGPT, you can now make them inside your business as well, but have the information be, you can use the word augmented, but be augmented by the data that sits inside your business. And yeah, again, Catherine, I think we'll talk a little bit about that. So this is how do we take that one step further? And rather than can we build and use this AI for automation? What's that next step? And I have up here the Azure AI Foundry. You can see I've got a couple of different buckets of use cases, if you will, of things that I can do. I was demonstrating or had up identity documents, but we get asked from customers all the time. They go, I'm a property management firm and I deal with leases from all sorts of different people. And all those lease contracts are bespoke. Therefore, they don't look the same. There's no standardized format. but I need to, but I get like 800 of them a month or 800 of them a year or whatever the case may be. And I need to be able to grab all that information from the lease documents and understand lease start dates, lease end dates, what are the amortization periods, what are the terms and conditions. And I need to be able to grab that information and make it structured so I can make decisions based off of it, or maybe fill in a database. But I don't want to pay, or I don't want to have a person, because it's not efficient, manually go through all of those contracts one by one and do that task themselves. And so there are some baked in or default capabilities within Azure that allow us to do that. And the one that I was demonstrating, the one that I was speaking to, was an identity verification. So for example, I'll just pull up this one here. You can see it's a fake person, Chris Smith, lives in West Virginia. And I'm just going to run an analysis. And basically what this is doing would be simulating as if I had an actual person's identification document and I wanted to validate that document is in fact accurate, right? So the first thing I want to do is I probably want to be able to read what's on that document. I want to know what's their address, right? And so you can see here that it has interpreted this piece of information here as being the address. It understands that, okay, we've got a date of birth, a date of expiration, a date of issue, and a number of other fields here. And you notice that those fields are tied to have some numbers beside them, a percentage. And so, for example, the country region, it's interpreting this as being from the USA, and it has this 99.5% number here. What that represents is that Azure, or this AI tool, has with 99% confidence that this country is actually a USA-based document. However, up here, you can see that the address, as an example, has 58% accuracy or 58% confidence. This is the actual piece of information that's at. And the reason being is that, again, if you look at this, it's saying, okay, it's Main Street in Charleston. I know that's in Washington, but the Main Street doesn't have a number, right? And this postal code might not actually match Charleston. So because there's a bunch of information that, again, AI is doing this automatically, where they are going and doing all of that validation for us intuitively, they're coming back and saying, because I'm doing this in an automated capacity, I can with confidence say that I'm only 58% confident that this is an accurate address and this is legitimate. So this would then allow us to create workflows to say, okay, if this is a low confidence score where I'm not actually sure that the piece of information is telling us what we need to, then maybe interject with a manual process and have a person pick up the pieces, so to speak. However, if this is one of those routine scenarios where the document is what the document's supposed to do, I could have it just flow and not have a person spend time checking something that we with high confidence feel is accurate. Okay. Another thing that comes up a lot is contracts, for example. I mentioned this before with the lease documents. Again, I have here, it's probably really small on the screen. I apologize for that. It's just the nature of the embedded document. But this is just a generic web hosting agreement. It has a bunch of information in it. And again, if I run the analysis, and I've configured this already, so it's a demo, but it is live. And one of the things, or some of the things that I've pulled up are stuff like the title. So what's the title of the agreement? It is a web hosting agreement. What is the effective date of the agreement? Okay, it's in 2022, October. Who are the parties? And you can say that this is, you can see that this is a collapsed thing because there are lots of information in here. So it's Microsoft, of course. So we've got Contoso, and it has all of this information filled in below because it's reading that from the actual contract itself, right? So I have the ability to have this just ingest and read all of these contracts and actually do things based on the output of that. So I'll give you one last example of that before jumping back into the deck. This is here. We annually host a conference that tends to be targeted for not-for-profits. We partner with Microsoft, with Meta, and other organizations. And this was just the background screen that we used for our decks to make it consistent branding, if you will. And so I wanted to just see and say, hey, can I figure out some of this information on the screen? And what if I had many of these I need to do? So I have a hashtag that I wanted to understand. And what I've done here is I've just used this, and all I'm doing to this system is I'm telling the system, I want to know the hashtag is actually just a word that begins with a pound, begins with a hashtag. That's the only information I'm giving it. Similarly, the company name, and you can see that there's many company names here. So I've had it as a list, but a company name is a word that is on a page that is beside a logo. And again, that's all of the context I'm giving it. So if I go and I run that, and it'll take a second to make that analysis, I'm able to, from this piece of information, grab, you can see here that it's pulled the hashtag, and you can see below here, it has pulled the names of the companies that were involved. And again, it's grabbing them from the logos here. So I just show these couple of use cases to say, hey, what's that next step? We actually have the ability to look at our workflows, look at our business process, and say, what are the things that we maybe could have done or could do differently to make us work more effectively or efficiently inside of our everyday? So maybe, Catherine, if I can ask you to turn up the deck again. A little bit of cart for the horse from a certain perspective, but we did want to say, what do I do with that? So that might be neat, and have a couple of ideas that this has sparked internally for me. Catherine's going to talk about this a little bit later, but I do want to kind of preface this here to say, there is a process or methodology that we've applied anyways to figure out how do we do this, right? And we think of this as, what would it look like if we help deploy AI in a day for a specific use case for your business? And again, a day is a bit tongue in cheek. It's actually about 3 days. But we feel, and we've done this many times now, where through a process where we brainstorm together, make sure we understand the use case that we want to test out, build a proof of concept for something that's actually live with real data that sits inside your business, and then test to what we've built, we're able to really rapidly get to a functional proof of concept or kind of that next step beyond Copilot for AI that's unique to your business. So I don't want to get too far into this. Again, I didn't mean to be this from a salesy perspective, but I did want to just share and say, okay, the vision or the path that we're on, the journey that we're on has many steps. The second step after Copilot can be something like this. And there are ways in which we can do that so that it is graceful. Maybe with that, Catherine, I'll flip it back to you. And again, as folks have questions, feel free to drop them into the chat. I'll either answer them in chat or probably come off mute, depending on how the scenes are going. Catherine, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jamie. All right. Let's dive into the Copilot content now. So switching gears of a different type of AI. And really, as like Jamie was mentioning, right, AI's here. So before we even just start on the path to AI, I just want you to know it's important for every organization just pause and then even think through some questions, right? Before even diving in, what are your goals for using AI? Or what are the pain points within your organization that can be addressed with AI? What are your current AI capabilities? Does your organization have a data strategy in place? And do you have the necessary infrastructure and resource to support AI initiatives? So these questions you just want to start thinking about when you are preparing for AI and for that journey, right? Each of these elements will help you guide and shape how you bring AI into your organization. And like I mentioned, that promise of AI is real and the transition is already happening. Organizations are searching for the right tools to use AI in their work, and AI will rewire every part of our organization and transform the way we work. But we can't just dive right in, right? We need to have a required plan. So with that, we really mentioned that organizations should start thinking about their foundational productivity first. So I want you to start thinking about, how is your organization even getting things done at work? Or what problems can AI solve? And how can we integrate AI into our daily activities and the tools we are already using, right? Even how can it protect our data? So to become that AI-powered organization, we begin with taking 3 key steps towards foundational productivity. So first, you have empower your employees with secure AI-powered tools. Second, you want to standardize on Microsoft 365. And then third, organize your sensitive business data. So those are the three steps that really establish foundational productivity. And we're going to take a closer look at each of these ones. So the first one that I mentioned, step one, empower your employees with secured AI-powered tools, right? So you want to introduce your employees to secure generative AI to prepare and empower them for the future of the workplace. Now, this could be a tool, for example, like Copilot Chat. And a question you may be wondering is, why would I even introduce Copilot into the organization, right? It does have many benefits, which your business data is protected. So this is included with anyone with an Enter ID. Copilot doesn't save the prompts or answers or nor train them to use the AI model. You also get access to powerful AI models. So Copilot uses GPT-4 for text and DALL-E 3 for images, which are the latest in AI models. And then not to mention, this all comes at no additional cost on eligible licenses. And then a third benefit is also Copilot is transparent. So it does cite in the data sources behind its answers, and it does provide up-to-date answers with no knowledge cutoff grounded in the Bing search index. Now, today, employees can and teams can leverage Copilot to help them unlock tasks like summarize PDFs quickly. You can draft emails more efficiently, get answers to complex questions more with ease, right? So these are just some of the common workday use cases that we have seen. And I am going to show you later today in our demo a couple of these capabilities. Now, in terms of pricing, everyone does have access to Copilot today. That is what I was talking about with the Copilot chat, and this is completely free to use. What I do want to highlight is the difference between the consumer side versus a more business and organization side, which is Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now, that is what is integrated into the apps that we use today. So that's Copilot in Word, Outlook, Teams, and PowerPoint and Excel. Now, this comes at $30 USD per user per month. And to get Microsoft 365 Copilot, you do need a product license of Business Standard or Business Premium E3 or E5, or Office 365 E3 or E5 is required to purchase Copilot. Now, on the last slide, we were just looking at the differences between Copilot and Microsoft 365 Copilot. It is a lot to digest. So here's just like a simplified view just for you to understand the differences. So you have Copilot and then Microsoft 365 Copilot. They both work together to keep your users and organization to be more productive while keeping company data protected, right? So you would start with Copilot Chat to lay down the foundation of safety and commercial data protection. And then once you're ready for AI chat that's grounded in your company's data, such as emails, meetings, and files, then we would encourage you to explore Copilot from Microsoft 365. Going on to step 2 of the foundation of productivity, we would highly recommend to standardize on Microsoft 365. So just by having all your data in the Microsoft 365 cloud, it will enrich your experience with Copilot and be better positioned to harness AI's transformative potential. Like I said, foundational productivity starts with Microsoft 365. So that's the solution that just stretches across all the different elements required in the modern world of work that is essential prerequisites for leveraging Microsoft 365. So you have your zero trust foundations, which just ensures every access point to your network and data is rigorously authenticated and protected, right? Reducing those risks of any security breaches. You have your simplified endpoint management, which just allows for seamless device control, maintenance, and security enforcement. And then you have your productivity and collaboration tools, which is all designed to work together to help your organization be more effective and efficient. Right? Just so through this comprehensive solution and all these capabilities with a stack of products under each, they are designed to work together to minimize operational costs and complexity. Right? So with the zero trust, simplified endpoint management, it's all really requirements for just that stellar productivity and collaboration experience. Now, going on to the third step, right? Now you want to just organize your sensitive business data. So you just want to ensure that your protection of your internal data is protected from any accidental leakages, or you just want to make sure that you have the right access to the right internal content, right? With Copilot, it does inherit your organization's current Microsoft 365 security compliance and privacy policies, right? So your data is logically isolated and secure with your Microsoft 365 tenant, and that's always under your control. So just as a result, Copilot does respect user-specific and group permissions to any content or information it retrieves, and it will only generate responses based on information that users have explicitly have permission to access. For example, if I don't have permission to see any of the documents on the security team, for example, or the finance team, if I'm asking Copilot, since I don't have permission, it will never bring that up. All right. Now that we've covered foundational productivity, once you have all those three steps like set, then your organization will be way better prepared to use Copilot to its full potential. And maybe the big question is, what exactly is Copilot? Or you could say Copilot for short form. What we know is that it's here to boost productivity for everyone. That's not a secret. It is integrated into the apps that you use every day. So then you can focus on what really matters to you. It does combine the power of large language models with your data and your Microsoft Graph with your Microsoft 365 apps, all accessed through natural language. And this way it does respect the security and access parameters you already have in place at the tenant level. Of course, that data stays within your organization. So it is grounded on the data that is indexed on the Microsoft Graph. And the architecture of it is pretty fundamentally simple. It is orchestrated, like I said, by the large language model built on top of the existing Microsoft 365 solution. And that all takes place within the compliance boundary as well. So what that means is that just Copilot combines the power of LLMs, which is the large language model, with your content, which is in the Microsoft Graph. So that is your documents, emails, calendar, chats, meetings, and contacts, just to deliver those accurate, relevant, and contextual responses that Copilot can work alongside you every day, embedded into those apps, like I mentioned, right? So you can be more creative in Word, you can be more analytical in Excel, more expressive in PowerPoint, more productive in Outlook, and more collaborative in Teams. Now, just to touch on this slide a little bit, Copilot does work with all different users across different roles and specific pain points. So I will be showing specific examples in the demo, and you'll think about how you can probably use it in your role as you see the demo going. I will probably skip over these few slides really quickly, just so we can get right into the demo, because I'd rather show you it than tell you what Copilot can do. But really, for Word with Copilot, you can create any content with it. And it's easy to create a first draft with Copilot, right? It can rewrite your text, change the tone, for example, even create tables for you. In Outlook, we all use emails. It can create emails, respond to existing ones, even summarize full email threads. Copilot in Outlook can do all those things more efficiently. Even with Teams, you can use Copilot right within a meeting. As we're having a conversation, we can just have Copilot right on the side and ask it questions based on what we're talking about to keep the conversation going. And then even after the meeting, you can ask Copilot what was discussed in this meeting, any questions any specific topics that you wanted to recover during the meeting, so you don't even have to watch the full recording. Copilot can actually do that for you too. And then even going into the chat, which we will see a lot in the demo, it can be linked into all your emails, files, meetings, and chats. So it will turn all that data into knowledge. So it's like your knowledge navigator, like a Google search for your work environment. So it will bring together all that information. So you just can keep moving forward with Copilot. And then also we have Excel. Copilot in Excel can create formula columns, highlight key data, like make all these cells red where the value is under 1,000. And it can even create visualizations like graphs and data insights and even sort and filter your data. So I know that was really quick to go through, but let's just move on to the demo so you can see it live in action. Okay. What we're looking at right now is Copilot. And I just want to show you that since I do have a Copilot license, you'll see a work and a web tab. So the work is what I mentioned about how Copilot can see my meetings, my emails, my chats, and I can find information that way within my data. The web is very straightforward, similar like Google, where you can ask Copilot a question and it will pull information from the web as well. So what we're going to do is, one thing is with Copilot, with the web, it's very easy to do some contextual browsing. So let's say you want to do research or try to find information. We can ask Copilot as simple as, what is Microsoft Copilot? Please cite your sources so I can do further research. Right. And here it's giving me an answer. And as you can see, tells me what it is, an AI assistant. Here are the two main ones. And then this is even how it works and where I can use it. And then, like I mentioned in my prompt, give me some sources. Here are some sources right here. So as you can see, there are these little numbers, which is the link to the source where it's getting that information from. So maybe I'm interested in seeing Microsoft Copilot overview. If I open that, now I have a new tab where it's telling me where it got that information from and where I can do some further research. But a really cool thing is, if you're seeing what I'm using, I'm actually using the web of the Edge, Microsoft Edge, which is really helpful because you'll see a Copilot icon in the top right corner. If I open that up, Copilot will actually be right beside me as I'm researching, for example, on the page. So what I can even ask Copilot is summarize this page right now. So when you're using Copilot in Microsoft Edge, it will actually know exactly what you're looking at your screen. So you don't even need to read everything here. Copilot can give you that summary really quickly, right? What it is, how to access it, using it, and tips. I can even ask Copilot, do you have any additional resources that I can read on? So I can ask Copilot that. So of course, absolutely, there's a success kit, Copilot adoption resources, and even learning how to build your own Copilot Studio. Again, you have those references that you can click to further your research really quickly. And then even I think a cool thing is how I can ask, what if I'm specifically looking for something? How about an ebook or an infographic I am able to share with my organization? So now I'm getting more specific on what I want Copilot to look for. And here it has a couple for me. Maybe I just want to check that out and see if this is worth sharing with my team. So as you can see really quickly, I'm able to find and do my research really more efficiently with Copilot. And again, like I mentioned, it's really handy to have it in Microsoft Edge. Okay, we're going to move on. So that was Copilot Chat. We're going to take a look at now Word and PowerPoint. For example, I have a document here about opening a new coffee shop in Toronto. So as you can see, it's just an introduction, market analysis, store location. So just a basic Word document. And what if I want to brand take this document and turn it into a presentation? So I can open up a new PowerPoint and I will pull it up here so you can see how easy it is to brand a document. So when you open up Copilot in PowerPoint, you have it here very similar to what we just saw in the web as that side pane like it is. So it's very user-friendly. And a trick that I like to teach is how you can actually brand your documents with Copilot. So how you would do that is you can open up the design tab and have your custom branded template already in here. So I put this in the ProServeIT theme. So as you can see, now this is our branded template. And then now we can ask Copilot to take that Word document that I showed you, and we're going to turn it into a PowerPoint. Okay, here we go. Like I mentioned, we can easily click this prompt, create a presentation from file. And then here we have, as you can see, some of the documents that I've been looking at recently. And here we have opening up the new coffee shop in Toronto. So really quickly, Copilot can take that Word document, put it into a branded template in probably less than 2 minutes, I would say. As you can see, it's already generating the slides. And it did take an outline from our Word document already. And it can also add speaker notes as well. So let's say you need to present, it will have a base of speaker notes in the notes section as well. So as you can see, we have an introduction. It knows we're talking about a coffee shop, so it's even putting in photos that are related to what we're talking about. And yeah, as you can see, it is in our branded template as well. So that is something that you can do with Copilot and PowerPoint. Again, it gets the information there, so you're not copy and pasting and spending more time there. So it is more efficient in getting that content as your first draft into PowerPoint. Okay, we're gonna jump to referencing your content with Copilot. So we're gonna now head back to the Copilot chat, but we're gonna be in the Work tab. So Copilot can actually reference your content, like I mentioned, your files, your meetings, and your documents. So we can even just do a / and you'll see I have people that I can ask Copilot questions about, or files and meetings and even emails. So for example, if I wanted to do go back to files, opening up the coffee shop in Toronto, maybe I just wanted to ask a simple question: who is the target audience? And as you can see, it'll find that information. And again, you can see the sources that it's pulling it from, that document that I said it was from. And you can even go further with it, because remember, it's a conversation you're having with Copilot. And I can just ask it, where would you suggest the best place to open up the coffee shop and why? And as you can see, Copilot did separate the responses based on the company so the data from our company, as you can see here. And then even from the web, it did its own research to where would be the best place to put a coffee shop in Toronto. Another thing that you could do with Copilot, so let me just start a new chat. For example, I can ask Copilot, remember I said it can reference your files. I can say, look at my emails and give me a list of tasks that I need to complete. Please include the due date, who the email is from, and then as well as any relevant information to the task. Please have this in a table format. So as you can see, this prompt is much more specific on what I want Copilot to do. But again, since it does have access to my data, it will be able to do that. So as you can see, I have a couple of things. The task, watch a video from Betty. It didn't have a specific due date, which is okay. And again, you even have that reference where I can click and go right into that email to see what that email is about. And I asked for it in a table format, and it gave us that as well. So easy to plan out your day or find information quickly. Copilot can do that for you. I know we have only a couple minutes, so there'll be one more thing that I will show, which I think some people actually don't know that Copilot can do. If I actually go into OneDrive, I can ask Copilot to compare documents actually. So that is something that's pretty interesting. And let me just show you. So with Copilot in OneDrive, what you could do, let's say you have, for example, 2 resumes. I can click these 2 resumes and I can bring it up here with Copilot and ask compare these files. So now I don't even need to read both files at the same time. Copilot can actually bring them side by side comparison and compare the 2 for me. Oh, there you go. It is squished here, but that's okay. We have the job title, so comparing the 2 job titles, contact information, profile summary, skills, senior graphic design. So Copilot can actually do that too. And I think the max amount of files you can have is if five files that it can compare information on. So just a little tip that you might not know about with Copilot. Okay, last thing is actually just prompting. I wanted to just share when you're starting off with Copilot, the biggest thing is learning how to prompt with it and how to properly ask Copilot what you want. So I just wanted to share this link here where Copilot this will actually give you prompts to use with Copilot. So I'll pop this into the chat and you'll see different things that Copilot can do. So you sort by app or even by task, even the job type as well. And you can save these prompts for easy to use when you're using Copilot. Okay. Are there any questions so far? And if not, I will go back just to some next steps and we'll end off our session. This is the slide that we were showcasing at the beginning of the session, just what Jamie touched on. So we do kind of do that proof of concept AI for you, where, you can brainstorm with us, build that AI power proof of concept, and then even test that out. So it is a $3,000 investment from you. And then we'll even put the $3,000 investment from us as well with this offer. So we will be sending all this information in a follow-up email. And if you're interested in this, I think Betty and Hunjin can pop something in the chat. If you are interested in this, let us know. And then another thing I just wanted to mention is right now there is also a Copilot licenses offer. So you can save 15% on Copilot licenses. If you do buy 10 plus licenses with us, you will also get 5,000 value engagement for free, which includes training, a strategic IT roadmap, and then even a private executive briefing session for your leadership team. So I hope that was helpful. You got to see some use cases with AI and then even get to dive in deeper with Copilot and what it can do. If there are any questions, please let us know. So thank you. Thank you for joining. I hope it was very helpful and you got to see a lot of the capabilities of AI and even Copilot. You can always reach out to us if you do have any questions after. You can reach us at cloud@ProServeIT.com. I'll let everyone go and thank you so much for joining the session. You will get a follow-up email with the recording and everything that we talked about today and probably within a week. Thank you.